The broadcast is live.
And we are live.
We're live. Hello, everyone.
Hello, and welcome to episode 11 of Bowtie Certified. I am your guest, I'm your host.
No, I'm your guest.
I guess, Henrik. I'm your host, Anthony Tsavelis. I am a technical instructor in Google Cloud, and if you are looking for training or training for certification, please feel free to reach out. Here on Bowtie Certified, we follow the journey of others through certifications and how learning has given them great benefits. And today, I have a special guest all the way from Sweden, Henrik Rudin.
Right.
Henrik.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure. Henrik and I, we had met on Tech Study Slack, for those of you who don't know. Tech Study Slack is a Slack group started by my friend Adrian Cantrell. Shout out to Adrian. And and there's a ton of cool people that ended up on there. We all talk about tech. We talk about certifications. We talk about different facets of technology, whether it be Kubernetes, DevOps, AWS, Google, Azure, you name it. But a lot of cool people, and that's where I met Henrik. Henrik purchased my course. He happened to be a student and passed, and we'll get into that in a moment. And we became friends ever since. And so yeah, he decided that yes, he wanted to be on the show, and he's got a very interesting story, and I'm really happy that he came on, because I'm excited for him to share that story with you all. So.
All right, the pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure.
So Henrik, what were you, let's just dive right into it. What were you doing before diving into the tech industry, and what made you decide that this was the path for you?
Well, it's actually when I reflect on it, and then other people talk about it and ask me a question, it began quite early. You know, I got my first PC from my dad when I think I was 7 years old, and that's how I started. You know, just using applications and using the web and so on, and then of course installing games, playing games, like many of us do. So that's where it started, and then it just moved forward. Building my own computers, liking just to try out new hardware, installing that, configure it, and see how it worked, and the thought process about technology. So at that time, it was just more a hobby, but I really, really liked it. And at that time, I didn't know that I was going to work with technology. So during that time, I was always doing that, playing and testing out new hardware in the PC, and then of course, as many of us also, we got to school, private life, and I was an athlete. And at the time, before I really decided by myself to attack on swimming, I was playing football, soccer for you guys. We call it football, and
yeah, who are not from Europe.
Yeah, exactly. And so I remember I was really curious about all the other sports we had locally in my town. So I think I was trying up to 8 sports, a couple of weeks.
Wow.
And stuff there. So airsoft gun, soccer, swimming, I think volleyball, some other sports. But I remember it was up to eight sports at that particular time. Those 2 weeks, I just tried out, which is more fun. And then I just felt that the soccer and swimming was the most fun for me. So I still continued and practiced those for a couple of years. And I think when I was around 11 years old, I was still doing soccer and swimming, but there was a competition where the coach from the football team that I played with, they chose another player because he had trained more than me. Which is in perspective right now, it's fair. I mean, he trained more, so he should get the spot. But I felt that was better, And that made my decision personally. Okay, I'm not going to choose soccer because I'm not going to leave swimming. I love swimming just as much, or perhaps even more. And the switch there with soccer is a team sport. Swimming is only me, so I know it's up to me. Whatever I choose and how much I want to perform and go for it. Swimming is all up to me. There's no one who. It's not a team sport. You have of course races where you compete as a team, but in general, when you train and also very much of a competition is a base as is only to you, is individual. So that's where I started, and so I'm around 12 years old, I really started that path just doing swimming, and that was pretty high end. I mean, we trained every day 2 hours, and I think 3 days a week. It was two times a day.
Wow.
So, yeah, the volumes was. It sounds pretty high, but that's the amount of volume you need, even at that age and level, to compete, to be the best in the races at the national level. So that's what I did for a couple of years, and then when I was 16, I became a champion. That was the goal. So I have one gold medal and a couple of other ones too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible. So for what? Because I know in swimming they have, I guess, different categories. Which category was that in?
Yeah, funny you should ask that. I know we talked briefly yesterday about. That I like to have a broad base. I don't like to be good on one thing. And the same thing happened here swimming. First I was better on breaststroke, and then it was, I think, butterfly,
Okay.
and then the medley, where you have all the different swim types combined in a race. So in the end, it was butterfly, 200 butterfly, where I became a champion. But I think the last year also on the winter, I also got a medal on medley.
And this is at a national level?
Yeah, at that age. I mean, wow. You compete at the junior and senior level. At that time, I think when we were 16 and above, after we're 16, and you can also compete with the seniors, even though you're at 18. But after 18, it was only senior. But at that period of time, we had something like that was called youth championship. So it was the same as the national champion, but just for those ages. So 16 years old, that's when that happened. At that time, when you won during the summer, which I did, we got invitations from to train with the regional team and the national team also, the junior national team. Wow. And that also included, traveling and competing in international competes, in Europe and I think Asia too, if I'm not mistaken. But that changed pretty quickly because just that year when I won the competition, usually I have 5 weeks of vacation before we begin to train again.
Right.
And I only had 3, I think. And then when I arrived at my first training with my coach and all my swimming friends, they jump in, and then the first half hour, you just jump into to swim into yourself, get your muscles warm and everything, so you don't injure yourself. And just when we were finished that, I could hear, when I swam, a pop on my shoulder, and I felt something, not a massive pain, but a little bit pain. Yeah. So I went on, told my coach something happened, and I could see when I told him, he had several letters from the Swedish sim Förbund. I don't know what to call it in American or English, but the national team sent me some posts and letters where they invited me to train, you go to competition, and so on. And I stood there, holding my shoulder like, crap. And he told me about this, and I told him that this happened, and we didn't think it was such a big a deal, just rest. But it never left me. So I tried to figure it out, and there was not the precise injury, but the tendon from my shoulder was not strained, but it has been if you overstretch your shoulder or any strain, that can happen. So that's what happens in my shoulder. So I'll always have some pain when I rotate my shoulder, and I'm always very, very weak, and when I press outside, but inside I'm strong. So that's something that doesn't work with when you rotate your shoulder that many times when you swim. So we tried to do a lot of things to fix it, and I tried to come back. I remember the year after, and I hadn't trained at all at that level, which I needed to compete and defend my title, so to speak. But I knew that I was going to get owned. I knew that I was not going to have the durability to really finish the same race as the last year. So I think I managed to pull through, 50% of the race, and then all the lactic acid came. I was done. I looked like, I remember the last 25, 30 minutes, I was just going real, and I just screamed, inside the pool. I knew it. I was just screamed and disappointed that not a me or anyone, just that this happened. Fuck. I mean, I was so angry that this happened, because I've trained for several years to really succeed and do this, and then this happened. No one's fault.
No.
So it took 2 years to rehabilitate my shoulder, but it popped 2 more times, and there was no chance of it popping out, But still, I couldn't swim. Always a slightly pain, and I couldn't be better. So it ended there. A very sorry story, but that's how it ended. So I remember taking what I learned there, because when I was I think 13 or 14 years old, we had a really, really heavy training period.
Yeah.
And one of the swimming training that I had, I was really drained, and I was swimming a really hard training session. And my coach could see that in me. I was drained. I was done, even though there was some left on that series. And he took me up and he told me, we know you're good. You know you're good, and you have to focus on the negative. I'm not telling you this to be negative and tell you that you're not good enough. You are. We know that you're good enough, but this is where you win races. If you stop now, you can. If you find with that, you'll be maybe number 3 or 5 in the races. But if you really push yourself mentally, it's entirely up to you once again. Jump in the pool again and continue ending this. I can see you're done. Energy-wise, you have no more energy, but. Yeah. Still do it. I mean, because the last part where you win is all mental. It's all mental.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, he was really good and really very good with kids too. So I really took that in and never forgot. That just one of the few things I really can play again in my head. His face, and you can see him when he talked about it. So that's what took with me, going forward into whatever profession I would choose. And of course, it became technology. So that's what I took forward that.
So
my brother.
What happened? What happened after that? You were, you were told. Well, you weren't told, but you just knew that your swimming career was done. Did you take some time off to figure it out, or did you just dive into something that kept your mind off it?
No, I think I took almost 2 years of break. 1 year full break, just living life, because we trained that much. You have school, and then you have training, and then the time that's left you use with your friends. But I didn't experience the full high school and college experience because of that. So I just took a year off fully, no training at all, and just experience life in general.
Yeah.
And then next year, when I used to train at high level and just love being an athlete in general, I felt like I had so much energy. So I needed to find something to do with it. So one of my childhood friends, we talked about it. I talked with him. We should do something together. He's like, yeah, absolutely. So we talked about it, and I told him that I really would to try boxing. We have a local boxing club here in my city. So he's like, yeah, sure, boxing sounds cool. It's very good for draining of energy. We know it's a very rough sport. So when he, my friend, and myself arrived at the center, the location, there were actually 3 different clubs at that location. So when you arrived, you opened the front door. Directly on the left, there was a dojo, which had judo, karate, and jiu-jitsu. And on the right, there was competition-based taekwondo. the coach there. He's not there anymore, I think. But at the time, he was an Olympic athlete, and also he became an Olympic judge.
Okay.
So that was really a high level. And then when you walked maybe 20 minutes just straight ahead, you had a boxing club and their room on location. So we were going to go straight forward to the boxing location in the area there. And then while we did that, both him and I, we just looked left, in the dojo where they were currently training jiu-jitsu. We looked at just like, that's really, really fun. That's boxing. So we went in and just looked at the session for an hour, and we just looked at, yeah, this is one good. So we started immediately and trained, I think, 2 years into that. And he, I think, I got maybe a green belt in jiu-jitsu. It's a Swedish-based jiu-jitsu, which is called jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So it's a little more safer. The techniques is made to that you not harm the opponent or whatever, doing self-defense.
Right.
So it's very light, but still not the old style jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
And also trained judo with him, which is more physical. And then karate also. I just tried everything like I usually do. So in the end, I trained all of the three. Not him. He only trained judo and jiu-jitsu with myself. And at the later time, I chose jiu-jitsu because that's what he liked too. So I was just in for fun of it.
Right.
And after I think 2 years, then he got the back problem and couldn't train. And I just felt like, nah, I don't want to do it without him. We had so much fun. So I just, all right, well, I'll do what I'll do then. So I just trained at the gym instead. So
So when did the tech part come into play?
The tech part came in actually when I trained jiu-jitsu. One of the guys, I was having, not struggling, but I didn't find any good education. Because at that time I knew that I wanted to work with technology, being an operation technician, developer, whatever. And one of the guys, which I trained with, I asked him because I could heard they talked about technology, and I understood what he talked about. So I asked him, where do you study? Where do you go? I go to in this city. Oh, really? What's the course? What to do? And when they talked about it, like, that's it. So I called the teacher the day after, even though the course has already begun. So I talked to them and told them what I do, and we have actually two people who just left. They didn't feel it was appropriate for them. So we have a spot, but you have a couple of, I think 1 month after. I don't care. I told them I'll travel there tomorrow and sign myself in. So I began there. Yeah. So it was a specialized course for enabling the students to begin doing the actual stuff that the companies locally needed us to do. So at that time it was Windows Server, Red Hat, a little bit security, and this was more than 10 years ago. So
it was very neat. It's very neat for what you were studying.
Yeah, and our class was also some sort of beta test to find out what's actually suitable, which we experienced. Some courses inside, you have maybe 3 to 4 weeks, and then you continue the next chapter in the course. And some of that stuff was not really done with high quality. So we were kind of beta testing ourselves, what they did it for us. But it was really good experience. So usually when you have that kind of course, you get to practice at the company. I don't know what we call it in American, but here we call it a practice or learn by doing.
Yes.
At the company. Yeah. So we had that first, I think, 1 month, and then the last one, the last year was 6 months. So at that time, I was actually at the consulting company being an on-site technician at the local hospital, which is one of the biggest cities in Sweden.
Okay.
So that's how I started. Yeah, on-site technician, and the usual stuff at that time. There was no finance platform where you can just push out an image. It was manual installation that had a golden image, of course. But otherwise, finding a solution, installing printers, everything that the customer needed hands-on at their offices. So sometimes I install a printer, and sometimes I actually inside one of the departments where they deliver babies. I
Right.
remember, they had problem with one of the computers there. The room was, I had put on all the kits on myself, cap, mouth, and outfit to make sure I don't take in any bacteria and so on. So I went inside of the rooms, and all the PC had a layer of plastic, because all the doctors and nurses they have blood and more on their hands. So it was the first time I really, why is the plastic over the keyboard and mouse? I don't understand. And I understood. Either way, I was there, and the room on the other side, which had doors, I could hear a woman screaming, giving birth. Like, this is crazy. But still, everywhere where I demanded, I went. So that's my first job, a real on-site technician.
Wow. So you were in the hospital as a technician?
Yeah.
First job. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, just because a lot of people don't get to work in those types of environments, and that being your first gig. Usually, a lot of people work at computer shops or some sort of local computer store. They start their own thing, but to start in a hospital is like it's a totally different world.
Yeah, and also, being that huge, you could also see the problems when it comes to communication and processes in general that like many big corporations had. Those had them too. So
and
it's a really good base to start.
How did you land that job?
I think we just called companies, consulting firms by ourselves and explained what I was looking for.
Oh, okay.
And so for them it's cheap labor force, but for me it's education. And at the time, the last month, I've almost been there for 6 months. They told me that the customer, which was the hospital and their IT department, they were happy with my performance, and they just needed the same type of knowledge consultant. So that's me. So I just switched out from being from the school and then directly being employed by the consulting firm, and then begin as an on-site technician.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you so you basically got your hands dirty and started doing all the calling. The school didn't do that?
No, did myself. That was something. Now when I think about it, that was more of a hidden assignment from them. We can't do everything for you. Usually when I talk to other people, they did it for you. They talked to schools, and I remember they told us that also if you're having trouble finding something, just contact us and help you. We have other companies who have worked before, but they felt that this was a good experience. Talking for yourself, what you can do and explore that area.
Definitely.
Some people perhaps had no work experience or had an employer prior to that, and some had. But during the time when I did the studies, I still I had no job at the time, so there was just studies, living at home. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us more about your certification journey, because I personally know that you have 7 certifications, and it's
but it's not certifications, doesn't mean anything.
But it was the learning behind it, and
it was.
I think my audience wants to hear exactly how that came about, and what exactly how did it help you with your current job and with your mindset.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Prior to being cloud architect today, I was an IT manager for 4 years, almost to the day. And we pretty early, and that was also the reason why I chose this employer. I got the chance to build an IT department from the ground up. And I, of course, at the time knew that the possibility there was really good to really start the cloud journey, not just personally, but also for a company, because I felt personally that that was the right path not only for me, but also for the future of all companies. I knew that the power of cloud was the future in so many aspects.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was. So I primarily worked more on the 365 platform.
Okay.
But as an organic, natural path, we chose Azure as the infrastructure part also. So I worked with that for almost 4 years, and then last year in October, November, so about a year ago,
yeah,
I just felt that I wanted to know and understand more, even more than just being ISAC for Azure and 365. So I started on strategy. Like I told all you and all the viewers, that I don't really like to be specialized, on one specific thing or platform. I really like to have a base, understand a decent level of the platforms and what they can deliver of value to the customers and what the differences are. So my plan was there. Okay, I would like to have the knowledge primarily, and I know in the end I took certifications, but for me personally, that's just more a value to my employer, not for me. I mean, if I have the knowledge, I have the knowledge. Mm-hmm. But so the plan was taking 2 certifications on the 3 big platforms or more. So 2 in AWS and 2 in Azure and 2 in GCP. So I missed it by 1 for 12 months. But I told myself, that's crazy. No, that's crazy. I mean, you're going to have fun. That's the most important thing. Having fun, make a plan. And I know that some of the educators, they inform that you should book the exam, before you begin. I didn't like that. I felt that when I'm ready, I'm going to book it.
Yes.
But I did have a time schedule because I had a plan taking 2 or more for those 12 months. So I need to have a pace of 4 to 5 weeks on each one. Mm-hmm. So that's what I started as, and looked at all domains and did as many labs. Because if you read it and then you forget it, the next week, if you do it and then you do it again, it will sit there. So that's what I did. So that was the strategy. Move on to Azure first, the fundamentals. I think I did the fundamentals first, and then the administrator one, and then I passed Azure. I went over to AWS. I went the cloud practitioner, and then the solution architect associate. And then I passed there. I went back to Azure again for the security engineer certification, and the 2 others for getting the expert one. Okay. And then after that, I moved on to Google, and I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, 6, 7, something ago, I took the ACE certification, and now I'm slowed down a bit because I'm reading more about security in general, and moving on to the architect one, also the professional architect certification. But I don't feel it would be fun to deliver the plan to 2 more in 12 months, but I felt that that wasn't the best case right now. Right. One thing that happened, but I think it's important to inform everyone who listens, is that the plan for this was, before the pandemic began, and I felt like I should be able to hold on, at least 85% of the knowledge when I switch from platform to platform. Because you have muscle memory. If you don't use the platform, you lose more and more of the time. But I felt like this should be okay. Then the pandemic hit, and all the 3 big boys, the platform, they have accelerated and delivered so much more services faster than I believed. So right now, I feel that it didn't work out at that perfect level that I felt, keeping the knowledge. So I felt I lost the knowledge faster than I thought. But with experience, it's learning is a bigger part, of course. But something to inform, right now, depending on where in the journey the student is or he or her who listens, that maybe that's not the best case today. I thought it was a perfect case when I began. But today, and personally, I'm focusing more on GCP right now. Of reasons, because that's what I work with today, more of, but still I work with Azure also, and less of AWS. So that's the rank at the time today.
So with regards to AWS, is it because there's less demand there, or in where you live, or is it just because it's not your cup of tea?
Both. I mean, when I looked at it during time when I studied, and this is also information for every listener too, that you have to find out, what are the actual jobs available right now in the city or area. How can you, not only today, but look at it ahead, in the coming 6 months, what you think is the best strategy. If you really want to work, I really want to work with this, I really want to work with GCP or AWS or Azure, then I mean the choice is already determined. But if you want to look at it, I have the same passion for every platform, technology like myself. Then plan ahead and look at the strategy aspect of it. So you understand that, okay, for example, my city right now, and actually before the summer, there is way much more Azure and GCP than AWS. And I know that also, they already have, I have colleagues and there are other consultants who are really already very, very good on AWS. So it was more needed here locally to have more architects and engineers and developers for Azure and GCP. So it was a simpler step. I mean, that's how I looked at it.
And that's crazy, because everywhere in the world that you hear about cloud, you hear get your AWS certification, because that's what matters, AWS. But you've just shown us that it could be a different place, and all of a sudden things change.
Yeah.
We actually have a question came in from Jacob Luna. He's asking, which certification was the hardest for you? Because you've obviously had experience with all three. So
I would say not because the certification, the test itself, were harder. I felt that Google's and Amazon's AWS certifications exams were a little bit easier to understand. The questions were more logic, and the ACE exam was the best one. I felt that even though I took that the last of all of them, the questions were very understandable. You knew exactly what they wanted from you, knowledge-wise. So I would say the expert certification for Azure was the hardest ones, because I felt that some of the questions were not really in that area. It was more really deep for a developer.
Oh, wow.
Or a data engineer. And I know that, being an expert, for the technology one and the design one, the 300 and 301, the old ones. Today it's 303 and 304. But I felt that those questions were a little bit deep for an architect in a design aspect than it should be. Some of the questions I was like, really? You have 50 questions that you want to be able to find out my competence and give me a value of that, and you have these kind of questions. That's like, that's not good from my point of view. So those were the hardest one, both question wise and exam wise.
Interesting.
So that's the answer, Jacob.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good to know. For those of you who are looking to get your Azure certification.
Yeah, but keep in mind that I know that I've talked to other colleagues and also the community, that the new ones for Azure, the 303 and 304, is supposed to be better. They have listened to the feedback there, so it's supposed to be better. Hopefully, I'm not going to retake them anytime soon, so I don't know.
So, with all these certifications that you've taken, how have they benefited you with regards to assisting you in better jobs, assisting you in your role, your current role, and how you see your role in the future?
They have made it possible for me to understand the strength and the weaknesses on each platform, and also when a specific type of role, like for example, if I talk to a developer or an engineer or another cloud architect, I understand what they're looking for in a conversation in that project specifically. So I can converse and have a dialogue with them and move forward.
Nice.
That's the biggest part. The only thing that I really have to be really clear about that certification from my personal view, and it should be also that is that even though you take an expert certification, you're not an expert. I mean, you have to work several years with assignments and projects to really understand how to work against the platforms. But it's a big step. I mean, like I said, if it hadn't been that valued for my employer as a consultant firm, I don't really know if I would take them. But it was for me, it was more a goal, a mission to try it out. If I fail, I fail. But it was a fun thing. Every exam that I've taken has been fun, even though it has some hassle. Verifying my identity and something crashes, like some of you experienced.
Yes.
The one for Google was the most funny one, because I took the security engineer associate for Azure. They didn't believe that I was me, even though I showed them my passport and so on. And I had to explain to this guy. Yeah, I know. I had to explain to this guy, says, this is me, and in Sweden, this is how our names are. We have, a surname and then a middle name and then the last name. So we have 3 names, but the one that our authorities have us registered as a first name is the one in the middle. And it's like, I didn't know that. Okay, but that's it. So I mean, if you want a passport, then you can look at that. But okay. So I was this close to being canceled during the exam. I was like, this is crazy. But then when I did the ACE exam for GCP, same thing happened. and I was like, here we go again. So I had my passport ready just in case. So when you do the Google exams, I did all my certification exams for Person View, for AWS and Azure. But
yes.
that Google have their own vendor.
Yeah.
So I had to show my passport really here instead of taking pictures. And he's like, no, you can't take the exam because your name is wrong. You have registered yourself at this name. It's like, but that's right. My name is this, and my surname too. I was like, okay, I know what's happened, and I had to explain to him again. And I told him I have my passport here. It says the same thing. So I showed my passport and I explained this is how our names are, driver license and passports in Sweden. It's like, I didn't know that. So your name is actually this. Yes. Okay. Okay then. Okay, go ahead. It's like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. So I typed that in the feedback when I was done with the exam. This is, I mean, some people are really, really stressed. They're taking vacation, have families, they only have this particular time. And all this hassle, before you can do the exam is ridiculous. But other than that, it was really smooth, really good experience for the Google exam. Yeah.
So this helped you how so with regards to your role?
My role, the same as I briefly talked about, but also the biggest part when you jump into a new role, even if you're a developer, a cloud engineer, or more into DevOps or an architect, where do I begin? That's the hardest part for many people. So where do I begin? If you have a base and understand the technology and all the platform services, then you can begin there, and then you can begin to have dialogues with other people,
right?
Because they have to understand that even though it's not an isolated role, but I mean you're accountable. You're delivering an architecture, and you're pretty high on the list. When it comes to failures, your design and your solution that you deliver in a product when it ends has to be appropriate. You have to be safe, secure, have redundancy, have resilience, backupping, and so on and so on. So that's the biggest part: know where to begin and how to communicate with all the other involved people. I have one of the customers is a very huge company, which is IKEA. The people there are amazing, and they're really, really good. But it's the mentality there is exactly that. They understand. There's a really, really good engineers and developers there, but we talk a lot, we communicate a lot, and I call up my colleagues also from my firm company to talk about possible path. Why should we do use this service instead of this, or and so on. So that's the biggest step, be able to start, and then also have the dialogues with all the stakeholders in your product on moving forward. I mean, my base before I worked in the cloud in my last company, and now a cloud architect, I was a traditional, operations technician working on premise. As many other people, that's my base. Yeah. So some of those bits have come naturally. I applied that to my current cloud knowledge. So those people who begin, at the cloud today and doesn't have that.
Yes.
Make sure you really understand the base before when it comes to networking and DNS and all those bits before you move on to move forward, trying out and doing your own hands-on labs. So the base is very, very important. So you can understand all the threads that combines the solution and how we move forward.
So I guess you could say that your base in the, I guess, the on-premises world really prepped you for what cloud had to offer. And then once you went with the certifications and you started to learn, it was, I guess, a little bit easier for you because you had those concepts.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if you could offer one piece of advice to others who are striving to either get into the industry or land a better role in the tech industry, like wherever they're at right now, what would you say to them?
I would say either I think you feel already that you're more like me. You want to have a wider base of knowledge. Or you already know that either I don't care, or I know I want to be more of a developer or a cloud engineer or an architect. Usually, of course, you don't become an architect, fresh out of the gate. No. You could be, absolutely. I mean, I know people that studied for 2-3 years. Was really very low in that sense, knowledge-wise, and they're really good now. So it's up to a person, of course. But remember, it's up to you, no one else, and that goes in life too. Know what you want, plan, and decide that path first. Know what you want. You want to have a wide base and work, or at least have the possibility to look for work on more than one platform, if it's in cloud, or move to be a more specialized role, being a developer at this particular platform. Then you have your base to start. And then one thing that I tell all the people who have asked me, friends and colleagues and the community, how do you take 7 certifications in 12 months, is study every day. I mean, I have no kids, but I feel that everyone can wake up an hour early or work, privately studying, 1 hour after work. So some 2 hours if possible. And that's what I do. I study every day. I never stop. Even though I still have weekends with my family and friends, like all other people. I still make sure, okay, if I have plans for the entire Saturday, then I wake up an hour early and study. Make it have a plan. Always plan. Usually I would plan at least the day before of what I want to do and study and accomplish. If you don't study or plan it, then some days you'll feel like I'll take it tomorrow. Or if you don't have a structure, then it won't be much as easy. And of course, having fun. I mean, when you have studied for a couple hours that week and then you actually try it, in one of the platforms, I myself, I think it's not enough to have the free versions. Of course, if you look at the Mattress to Learn site, you get the Sandbox subscription where you can do some specific labs, but that's not enough. So what I have done for 365 when I worked as an item manager and more on that platform, but also for Azure and AWS and GCP, I've created my own company, my own fictional company, to find out if it works as it should, because we all know that the public cloud vendor, and documentation, you can do, A, B, and C, and this is how you do it. But sometimes when you do that, you figure out, no, that's actually not how it actually works. That's what they think it should work. But that there are perhaps more steps or less steps or something that's not even added documentation. Nowadays, documentation is better, but there's still gaps now and then. So make sure that you have a real subscription and tenant in each of the platforms so you can actually do stuff. Because usually when I lab, I don't have any more free trial accounts anymore. So I pay for everything I do when it's come to using actual resources and services. And I don't usually, I have about $10 a month usually. Because you do it, you deploy it, you verify it and you test it, sometimes you do it again and then just remove it. Usually that's not that much money. So if you're not ready to give that small amount of money for yourself and education, $10 a month in the long run, that's not much money. So when I see people that I can't afford to buy this education platform or do it, that's fine. There are platforms which is better than others, but you have to understand that whatever money you give from your savings, if you look at that path, it's worth it.
Yes.
You can't only read. You have to do stuff also and figure it out by yourself.
Agreed. The theory will only take you so far. I've done so much work, and being a trainer in GCP, I do a lot of demos, and I have to test those demos, and I test them over and over and over again. And I've been working on my course now for the past almost 5 months. And do you know that I have not incurred any costs whatsoever? Nothing.
No.
It's amazing. And I still have credits left. So for those of you who think that you can't do it without any money, yeah, you can. I've proven it.
You can, absolutely.
I've even Kubernetes clusters, and they didn't cost me a penny.
Yeah. The reason why I didn't redo and then created a new free trial subscription and account is that that's not time that I'm willing to give anymore. I just want to log into the portal and do stuff. So that's why I feel that that time is not something that I think I want to do and give. In the beginning, when I had free trial accounts, that's something that's great. But not when that trial was over, when you began to pay money for some of the non-free stuff, I was fine with it. And now when I created, usually when I created a hands-on lab, on a private tenant, sometimes you only create some services and you want to include that in the lab. So you don't, even though you can deploy with templates, yes, of course you can do that. But usually the stuff that I have laying around doesn't cost a thing or very, very little. So I don't really care about that. And I can use that, to combine that to the new things I want to try out. So I can just walk in and just go. Because like I said, 2 hours, and when you do some labs, it can take 2 hours or more. So time is very valuable.
Well, as well, you just have to be diligent about shutting down your resources. Whatever you create, delete it.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Don't leave things running. It's kind of like leaving your water running in the sink all night long while you're sleeping. Would you do that? I don't think so. Similar concept.
Yeah, exactly.
So what does the future look like for you, Henrik?
I don't know yet, but I know that you and I we had to try our conversation about it.
Mm-hmm.
And for those people who don't perhaps understand where it's going, I feel that it's pretty clear that it's going to include, for myself as a cloud architect, it's going to include more code. Being able to understand the code in general, and also being able to deliver a solution that perhaps have 10-15% of some code in Cloud Run or Cloud Functions. That's what the future will be. So being a cloud engineer, if that's something that you're working with, and I think it's already there. More code, more scripting, more knowledge about, for example, actually is PowerShell, of course. But understand that if you want to be a cloud architect or cloud engineer and you don't want to do that much code, understand that it will be in some sense. Myself, I'm pretty fresh and green on the development as a developer in that area. So that's why I'm going to focus more on next year.
Both, my friend, you and me both.
Yeah, exactly. So at least, like I told you on the prior strategy, I want to have a conversation with the developer, deeper, talking about develop specific situations in projects, not only knowing, the services that the platform offers you, but more talking about being a developer in general.
Yeah.
So that step, and then also talking with a developer that maybe perhaps in a project working in a DevOps project, understand how's the most suitable path forward, working with tools, the right tools for this project, and that bit. So that's what I feel. That it's going to be more code in the future. So perhaps for me, I have a passion both being an IT manager and a managing aspect, and also being a more hands-on. So
right.
Maybe that's also a path for the future. Maybe not the 3 coming years, but perhaps 5, 10, somewhere there around there. I think it's going to be a choice for me and many others. If you want to continue working with this professional role, then you need to learn code more in general from all aspects in the journey. Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I've always wanted to open up my own sandwich shop.
Not me.
Sandwiches and coffee all day. I mean, it's great, right?
Is that the dream?
No coding involved.
No coding involved.
But I do love technology, and you're right. I mean, the future does hold a lot of code. There's a lot of infrastructure as code happening, especially with Terraform really ramping up. It's getting so hot. And now they have their certification out and everyone's going to get it. But that's what's happening. There's going to be a lot of infrastructure as code because it's efficient. And
absolutely.
People are losing time and money with inefficiencies, and wherever they can be efficient, that's where they're going to focus on. And infrastructure as code is definitely one of them. And there's going to be some, there's a lot of machine learning happening and AI. And in order to do that, you need to know some sort of programming language, whether it be Python, R, JavaScript, whatever the case may be. So yeah, I can see it definitely headed that way. And I wish you luck in whatever programming language you decide.
I mean, I could, of course, I'm talking for myself now, but I could choose, the other path, being more of a some sort of manager,
right.
Perhaps, I mean, something that I know would be really cool is having, a small team working in projects, helping others, working together. A team is usually, I think by myself, is always more fun.
And how would that change for you with regards to certification and learning?
Not that much, I think. I think later on, if we move along 5, 7 years or longer, maybe that I'll reconfigure my mindset of what's the best solution path for myself. But the knowledge that is going to be required, even though you're more of a manager or not, or being a cloud architect, you still need the knowledge to have that, like I told you before about, having a conversation with developers, architects, or cloud engineers in general to know what the right strategy and path is for your role or the customer or your employer.
Agreed.
So right now, I think it's the same path. Then if you still want to continue moving on to be a broader path, or you want to be specialized in something, that's up to you or the person who listens.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Henrik, we're coming up on the hour. I want to take
really that was
fast. What is the best way for others to get in touch with you?
I'm hanging out in the same Slack channel which you published to the viewers. I'm on LinkedIn also. Yeah, you can search my name. You see here, and I actually use the same picture so people can recognize. Oh, this is the same guy. So the same picture. Yeah, that's actually something that I thought about. If there's people who want to add me or Chuck, I love to talk to other people in technology in general. So look at me in the Slack channel and LinkedIn. Find me there. I'll answer there if it's something that I want to ask about.
Awesome.
Sure.
That's awesome. Well, Henrik, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. It's cool.
And I do want to thank our viewers, of course. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in and joining me in this episode. And until then, keep on striving and keep on learning. And we will see you next time.
Yeah. Do you remember what I told you? What's the word for goodbye in Swedish?
I forget.
Oh, it's hej då. Hej då. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much. We'll see you again next week. Tune in at noon Eastern Standard Time. Until then, have a great day.
Bye, everyone.